There's something spectacular about Yoshi's Woolly World with the looks and the oh so good Yoshi gameplay that you start to forget about the insidious nature that backs it from the big house of Nintendo. Woolly World once again follows the Yoshis as they chase down a Magic Koopa who has gone and unravelled them all, spreading their bits and pieces throughout the land in hope of something or other. It's unimportant, but what is the fact that you can now collect as many different Yoshis to play as, including a panda-themed one. Once again, the game mostly follows the typical Yoshi's Island formula with you hovering, aiming eggs, and collecting stuff in hopes of getting 100%. Though it's not some kind of cakewalk because of the appearance, like Kirby's Epic Yarn. And it's not a ruthless platformer, but getting everything and finishing some of the later levels can harken back to those older Mario games. It also doesn't help that everything is either hidden or has to be acquired in some particular way. Woolly World knows what it's doing, and instead of rushing on through, I found myself stopping to search an area or look at what's in front of me before jumping straight in. Of course, searching an area is mostly jumping around into walls in hopes that it's a secret passage. The original Yoshi's Island is perhaps my favourite Mario game alongside Sunshine. I know, just bear with me. With a perfect mix of nostalgia and genuine love for what it did, Woolly World gives me that exact feeling that the first game did. Each level is open to explore and vastly different from the last, with some ideas coming and going as fast as you've learnt them. You've probably noticed the aesthetic is wool. It's in the name, it's glorious to play in, you start to notice all the little details like little bobbles of wool on the ground, and I absolutely adore the way that they've taken everything I once knew and given it this brand new look. Seeing things I grew up with in a new fashion is absolutely Bobby-dazzler! Yoshi's Woolly World is like a nice jumper that you've had since it was that bit too big for you. Now at 20 years old it fits just right, and every time you put it on it's a small reminder of the time that you spent in McDonald's beating up Baby Bowser or getting your Game Boy confiscated in class for playing under the desk. The main problem is Yoshi's Woolly World, all the marvellous ideas, looks and wonderful feeling it brings to my brain, is that I've done this before. I've done this before and I've done it too many times, but because Nintendo's lacking release schedule for the Wii U and then the 3DS, by the time something comes around from them, I've forgotten that I've just done it. This is the dark side to Yoshi's Woolly World, disguised in a lovingly crafted world of cute, cuddly and squeaky dinosaurs. If we go back to what I said about the game, you can apply that to nearly any Nintendo game that has gotten high scores, praised, or loved. Practically the whole Wii U library from Nintendo themselves is made up of this. Super Mario Maker, coming this September, is built on this entire notion. You've seen their lows trying to grab onto those feelings with New Super Mario Bros. And you've seen the absolute highs on the original Wii with Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. The fact that there's a sequel to something that's latching onto nostalgia is part of the point. Nintendo is the absolute master of their system, the grandmasters of creativity and giving us something that we want from a video game. Maybe not in the fashion that we always expected, but there's always a reason to bet on Nintendo. Yoshi's Woolly World is this embodied. It gives me the carefree nature of Kirby's Epic Yarn and a fantastical graphical style, along with that good old Nintendo magic in platforming, and I get another Yoshi game that isn't total shit. but imagine what they could have done. I haven't played Splatoon yet, but you look over at what it's doing and it's sold, why it's done so well for itself, and it's the stark reminder that sometimes Nintendo can do something new that isn't just a refinement or evolution on something I've already played. Yoshi's Woolly World is a more refined Yoshi's Island with a different style to it. It's nothing new, and while I don't mind not playing new things in that sense, because Lord Almighty, go look at what everyone else is doing, and you might think I'm a hypocrite for claiming The Witcher 3 is perhaps one of the best games of all time, even though it's just another AAA massive world, open world role-playing game with a white protagonist, but it's different to what Nintendo do. See, with everyone else, I'm guaranteed something I'm familiar with, and sometimes it's a complete knockoff of something I've already played. Just go look at the PS3's 360 library around 2008 to 2011. And count how many third-person shooters came out on the tail of Gears of War. But at least, through all those rip-offs and all the same games, I was perhaps given that developer's particular flair, or take on a genre. There's always perhaps some excitement from a critical perspective, to see what this particular game did differently, to try and separate itself from the crowd. And especially with the indie scene, I see so much, you know, I see that Nintendo introduced to the world genres, and then these guys come along and subvert those expectations or play right into them with that kick of flair that's sometimes missing from a Nintendo product, you know, New Super Mario Bros. At least a majority of what I played and continue to play is mostly different from each other through their worlds, looks, takes on gameplay, so on and so forth. With Nintendo and the Wii U or 3DS, I already know what to expect. I knew Yoshi's Woolly World was going to be a good video game, much like the recent Yoshi's Island on 3DS. It was a good game, but it was just horrifically dull. The lack of excitement I get from something I'm enjoying so much is the constant knowledge that Nintendo could have done something so different, yet they don't. I look at Splatoon and I see the future, and with something that is just more Splatoon. There's nothing wrong with sequels improving on what you already have. In fact, sometimes it's much like that big jumper or whatever. It's comforting to be in an environment you know. But this is Nintendo's entire mantra. It's something they do over and over. You've heard this rant a million times before from many different people, much more eloquently put. They're masters of what they do, but Yoshi's Woolly World, something we've been doing since 1995. I played this in a different skin back in 2002. It was fantastic then, and 13 years on, it's still fantastic to this very day. It's the insidious nature of Nintendo. They get away with it, and there's nothing we can do to stop them, because why get out the jumper when you're already pretty comfortable by the fire?